Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, call roll, please.
Counselor Bolin?
Here.
Counselor Fisher?
Here.
Counselor Furlow? Sorry.
Here.
Counselor Grizzle?
Here.
And it looks like Counselor Elliott and Counselor Rieskamp are absent this evening.
Okay, and Counselor Elliott had let us know ahead of time, so thank you. Approval of council minutes, April 11th, 2018 regular session minutes. Were there any corrections or additions? Okay, seeing none.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve April 11th, 2018 regular session minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are passed. Consent calendar. We have tonight's agenda, May 9th, 2018. We have the board minutes from the Arts Commission, March 19th, the Senior and Disabled Services Advisory Committee, October 18th. Liquor license annual renewals, change of owner off premises 7th Street, Mart, 590 Tangent Street, new outlet, full on premises commercial, and Bigfoot Bites Incorporated, 525 Main Street.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Consent calendar has been approved. Proclamations and presentations. I have a couple proclamations here. If I can figure out where they're at. National Police Week, May 13th through the 19th, and Peace Officers Memorial Day, May 15th. Whereas the members of the Lebanon Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Lebanon, and whereas it's important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property. And whereas nearly 60,000 assaults against law enforcement officers are reported each year, resulting in approximately 16,000 injuries. Now therefore, I, Paul R. Aziz, Mayor of Lebanon, declare May 13th through the 19th as Police Week in Lebanon and publicly salute the service of law enforcement officers in our community and communities across the nation. I further call upon all citizens of Lebanon to observe Sunday, May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all of our fallen officers and families. And thank you, Chief, and I have a copy for you if you want to come up. There's a copy for your... Thank you.
That's why he's in the desk.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And next up, it's that time of year again, 109th Annual Strawberry Festival. Strawberries to the Rescue this year is the theme. Proclamation, whereas 2018 marks the 109th anniversary of the Strawberry Festival, in which we welcome thousands of visitors to our community. And whereas May 24th, 2018 marks the coronation of the Strawberry Festival Queen. And whereas the Strawberry Festival is a citywide event and recognition of this event is fitting and appropriate. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Paul R. Aziz, do hereby proclaim May 24th through June 3rd the annual Lebanon Strawberry Festival, a time for fun and frolic. I solicit the cooperation of all members of the community in honoring our Strawberry Queen, her court, and this year's theme of Strawberries to the Rescue.
Thanks.
And it's going to be a great year this year. The committee this year is fantastic. They've got new energy and just a lot of exciting things that the whole Strawberry Festival is going to have. So really, really exciting.
I do love a good frolic.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Frolicking. Public comments. This is a time now. Council welcomes all respectful comments regarding the city's business. Citizens may address the council by approaching the microphone, signing in, stating their name and address for the record. Each citizen is provided up to 5 minutes to provide comments to the council. The council may take an additional 2 minutes to respond. The city clerk will accept and distribute written comments at a speaker's request. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Lisa?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Alicia Rogers, the Main Street Manager for the Lebanon Downtown Association. We had our first Fridays downtown on May 4th, which was just a couple days ago, and it was a huge success. About 120 to 150 people came down. Businesses stayed open late, sidewalk sales. We had a bunch of businesses say that it's the best night that they've had this year, but another business told me it's the best night that they've had since they've been open. So it was a huge success, and we're looking forward to our next event, which is June 1st. That is during the weekend, during the Friday night of Strawberry Festival, and we're kind of doing it in conjunction as a complimentary event to that. It's going to be our second annual Wine and Art Walk, so there will be wineries downtown as well. So just trying to keep the party and the downtown as an integral part of the Strawberry Festival and involved with that. And I also wanted to personally thank everybody that's on the City Council and the Budget Committee and all the work that they've done in helping the Downtown Association stay alive. Thank you so much.
Just one comment. I heard the downtown day was great. I couldn't make it. The one comment I did hear from a couple of people is that, and I know you don't have control over this, but this is something maybe you can pass along through your meetings, is that there were a couple stores that were really nice that would be nice to have open, and they were just closed.
Oh, do you know which ones?
One was it was the antique store, I think it was.
Was it Hidden Treasures?
Hidden Treasures, yeah.
He was supposed to be open. He had a date.
Okay.
I talked to him afterwards.
Okay.
But he promised me that on June 1st he will be open.
Okay. Well, let them know that some
Okay.
people were actually asking about
Perfect.
that while it
Yeah,
was closed.
that's great
so.
feedback. I really
Okay.
appreciate it.
Great. Good job.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And I hope that everybody can come to the June event.
Very good.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to address council? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 1, request to waive Cheetah Lake Park user fees, Guitars Under the Stars event. And we'll have Gary start first.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Jason Kripe, event organizer for Guitars Under the Stars Festival, has asked the city to waive $3,250 in park rental fees for the 2018 Guitars Under the Stars Festival to be held at Cheetah Lake Park, July 26th through 28th. The council will recall that in February 2015, you adopted new financial policies which stipulate that only the City Council may waive fees in excess of $1,000. The policy goes on to say that any decision to waive fees needs to be based on a demonstration of direct public benefit. And I've included a copy of the actual policy in the packet if you wish to review that. I will add that in addition to these park fees, the organizer has agreed to pay $1,900 to the Lebanon Community Foundation for the rental of equipment. And as I was looking at the requirement for a demonstration of direct public benefit, I noted that the event promote the musical arts in Lebanon. I believe it will add commerce to local businesses, and it will help Lebanon build its reputation as a desirable destination for public events. Whether that reaches the bar of a demonstration of direct public benefit is your job. So I look forward to your deliberations on this and would recommend that you would come to a decision on whether to waive the fees or not. I can answer any questions that you might have.
First up, I'd like to have Jason come up and just for a couple minutes, if you give us a quick kind of rundown on what's going on. Come on.
Thank you, guys. We're very excited to be able to bring the event back to Lebanon after a 2-year hiatus. If you guys did choose to waive those fees, you would be following the lead of the Chamber of Commerce, who has put funding towards the event. The fees that you guys would be considering to waive would then be converted over to advertising dollars. So that's where the funds would go. So it would be to further advertise Lebanon and everything that it has going on. We feel that we've put on a family-friendly event. The 2 years that we did our event, we had absolutely zero incidences that we know of with the local police department or any other entity. I believe there wasn't even a traffic ticket associated with our event that we know of. So we work very hard to put on a community event, a family event, and we are putting it out there this year for Lebanon folks to get a discount to come to our event. We want this community to be a part of the event. We want their families to be able to afford to come out. Part of being able to do that is cooperation from the city. Now, I will add that this will be the only year that we would ever ask for you guys to waive this. We have paid those fees in the past. with no problems up front. And the Lebanon Community Foundation can attest that we returned the park to them in good order. We followed all the rules, and we put on a clean event. So the reason for asking for this is after a two-year hiatus, we're looking to build momentum and get as much advertising dollars freed up as we can to highlight the city and its involvement in the event itself for the community.
Okay, any questions?
How much advertising and what types of advertising are you planning on? with that?
Advertising can be tricky. Television and radio are very expensive. We spent in the first year almost $50,000 just in television and radio, and it did not yield the results that we needed. We have shifted our focus to social media, and the response has been tremendous. And we've worked with several other entities in the area like Hairfest in Canby, Oregon, who have been very successful for many years, and their advertising partners and the folks that work with them. And we've gotten strategies from them that have helped absolutely fill their event. So far, those strategies are working. We are getting more hits to the website, more responses on social media than we ever have. And the response that the event is back has been tremendous because it did get taken away from the community for 2 years. Being a privately funded event, it can be very difficult to get a foothold, especially a privately funding event with the community in mind. We're not just a privately funded event looking to make as much money as we can. I grew up in this town. I went to Green Acres. I went to Lebanon Middle School when it still existed. I went to Lebanon High School. My brother's on the police force. So this is my town. So it's very important to me that the community is involved, families can afford to go, and that we put on a family-friendly first event. So it's hard to do all of those things and be profitable. And it's just taken some time to get some momentum. Part of the problem is with sponsors, for example, for advertising, is the first question they ask is how many people have come out. And that's where they say, let us know when you've got 10,000. So it's up to us to put private funding in all of our own efforts and our own money, and then whatever community support we can get to reach that level. And then the sponsors are going to come knocking, and they're going to put money back into this event, which will then, in turn, make it possible for us to be very robust with our involvement with the city, with our advertising for the city, with paying fees for parks, all of the things that go along with it. So to answer your question, we are specifically focusing on social for the reason that we don't have the sponsors to do what Bimart does, for example.
Right.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, very much.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Jason.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
it. All right, so at this point, is there a motion, discussion?
I don't really have a problem with it as long as it's a one-time thing. My first thought that came to mind was, are we waiving the fee for the Strawberry Festival? Or, what do we use to say we're waiving this but not for somebody else? And because I think arguably anybody could say, the pirates coming in town. They could say, well, that's a public good because we bring a lot of money in town, and your businesses are going to, your restaurants and your, there is public good in most events that are going to be out there. But it is a good event, and I would like to. I wouldn't mind a one time as long as we understood that it was just this 1 year to help them get going. I really don't have an issue with that on any major festival that was trying to get going here.
And I think the difference between the Strawberry Festival and this is the Strawberry Festival is pretty well established. And I do agree that, other organizations could come to us on this, but I think for a kickstart to help them get this project going, it would be a benefit to us in the long run if it is successful.
There is a lot of public interest in this event. I mean, I have seen your social media craze of people.
Yeah, and this year they're doing some really nice nights. They're doing. Can you tell me what are the nights that they're doing? The different days.
We have Thursday's going to be free for everyone to attend.
Okay.
And those are tribute bands that are going to be songs that people know. So we're hoping to fill the park by inviting people out for that portion of the event. Friday night is a blues night with Ty Curtis headlining, and Ty Curtis is one of the more family-friendly Northwest acts that you can bring out. Our Saturday is going to be our hard rock and heavy metal day, but we're very picky about, again, what we put out through the PA. There is interest from the Hall of Heavy Metal History in inducting one of our artists on, and we're talking about national spotlight stuff here. And I would be just as excited if it was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or the Blues Hall of Fame, because we feature all of those at our show. Sunday is going to be classic rock with Quarter Flash, who are a very well-known national act who've had a ton of hits, and again, very family-friendly. We're going to have a 50-foot water slide for the kids. We're going to attempt to break the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest guitar solo by a team, which will be more than 24 hours. And we know after 11 it's got to come down under 80 decibels, so we're going to maybe go acoustic. We're working on that. And we're just going to try and focus on fun this year and community involvement. We also have a car show that's going to be happening at the event. So we're bringing out more things to bring in the community this time and get involvement from the local folks. Another one is we're going to do a disc golf competition that will bring in hundreds of folks from the local area that are outdoors types that are going to do an exhibition for our crowd who are not familiar with that sport. And it's my understanding that Cheadle is interested in having a disc golf course installed. So this could be a great jump start for that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I like it for a one-time too. My first thought was why and probably no, but then to hear rationale as to where this, that's why I want to know what you were doing with it. If it was just getting dumped into TV and radio, I know how expensive that is, and I know what that gets you sometimes. But I think the social media thing could be good, and you use the examples of other local communities like us, like Canby, that are similar in size and demographic that made these adjustments and made it work. So I think I could be in favor of this for a one-time thing. I know I'm paying for Community Appreciation Day for the fire department, though. So I want to get that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about getting that weight now. So. So yeah, it's a yes for me.
Okay. Do we want to motion?
Move that we accept this waiver of fees for this year. And I'd like to see a report back on their budget at the end of the event.
Okay.
Is that part of the motion?
It is part of the motion. Just to report back after the event's over.
Then I will second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to waive the Cheetah Lake Park user fees with the Guitars Under the Stars folks coming back and letting us know just kind of an overview of what happened and from the budget standpoint, how it helped. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passed. Thank you, Jason. Number 2, South Santiam Enterprise Zone redesignation. Walt Wendelowski.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. We discussed the South Santiam Enterprise Zone last month, and I was given direction to return with a resolution that will go ahead and proceed with the actual application to Business Oregon. Just like to remind everyone, the Enterprise Zone will be limited to the City of Lebanon, urban growth area, including all industrial land within city limits, as well as our urban growth boundary. For this reason, Lynn County will be our co-sponsor. The total area is about 1,400 plus acres, and we meet all the requirements in terms of dimensions and separation between properties. A resolution that's very similar to this will be going to the county on June 5. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have, but certainly my recommendation that you adopt this resolution.
Well, I want to clarify that with Lynn County as co-sponsor, if they have a project, it is not necessary for us to approve that project, to jointly approve
No.
as we were doing before.
Correct. In fact, what we understand, that did not have to occur.
Okay.
Period. And so in both of the resolutions, both the city and county, Gary Marks is listed as the manager for the enterprise zone. So I think everyone's on board with the county and the city as well.
Okay. Good.
Other questions? Okay, we'll have the city attorney read the resolution, please.
A resolution redesignating the South Santiam Enterprise Zone, resolution number 2018-11.
Move for the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2018-11. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution passes. Thank you, Walt.
Thank you.
And next up is award the 2018 Street Preservation Project, a portion of E and J Streets. Ron Whitlatch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. What we have before you tonight is kind of a summation of what we opened bids for yesterday, our 2018 street preservation. It includes E Street from basically the Canal Bridge to 5th Street, and then it includes J Street from 2nd to 5th. And it also includes the travel lanes on Airport Road. Those will just be a grind inlay. But we had 4 bidders, which is pretty standard for a paving job. You can see the results there. Wildish Construction from Eugene, Oregon was the lowest, and we're recommending that they be awarded the contract. I can answer any questions.
And we use Wildish normally, don't we?
Yeah, they did Oak Street.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we accept the recommendation of Wildish Construction.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to award the 2018 Street Preservation Project to Wildish Construction. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
City Manager's report. Gary.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my report is in the packet, and I'd like to focus on one item that I have in my report, and that is the subject of reviewing some of our citizens' committees. Linda and I made you aware some months ago that it was our intention to review some of the committees and maybe come back to you with some potential changes. The reason for that is we've been concerned for some time with the Tree and Parks Board and the Bike and Ped in particular, that they often don't have business to discuss, and it seems inefficient and a waste of folks' time if we're not having a defined focus purpose for them. So we took a look at both of those committees, and we'll be coming back to you in June with a proposal, and that's my purpose in making you aware of it now. We're coming back in June, and what we'd like to do is we'd like to take the tree element from the Tree and Parks Committee and join it with the Bike Ped elements of the Bike Ped Committee and create the Trees and Trails Committee. This committee will essentially also replace a committee right now that exists on the staff level where we meet on pretty much a monthly basis, 3 of us on staff, Jason and Ron and myself, with representatives of the Build Lebanon Trails group. And that committee has been used as kind of a working group to make decisions about trails and paving and all that. We'd like to move that into more of a public situation so that the public can participate in some of those decisions and make that part of the function of the Trees and Trails Committee. So we're taking several different things that we've had kind of divided out, putting them into one, and believing that's going to create a really dynamic group that will have real issues to look at and offer the public better opportunities, more, I think, satisfying opportunities to participate in the subjects of trees and trails. Then as far as the parks element goes, we've seen quite a bit of success with the idea of forming park-specific ad hoc committees to look at specific issues that come up. The examples of that would be the Strawberry Plaza committee that was formed to launch that project. A more organic one that happened without council approval was the Gillot, what is now called the Gillot Dog Park. That was a group that kind of launched out of the park board, but it was a group of folks interested in the dog park idea. And then the latest has been the the North Side Welcome Sign Committee that we have formed with people in that neighborhood who will be seeing that sign and having it be part of their neighborhood, which, by the way, that group has been wonderful. They've been really focused and very visionary in the ideas that they've contributed. We've liked that process and would like to make that a formal part of how we address park issues going forward, that when specific projects come up, that we'll assemble a group of people who are either neighbors in a particular neighborhood or people throughout the community that happen to be interested in that issue. We think bringing specific interest to it with the individuals on the committee will be a great help. So we'll be coming back to you in June with all of these changes. I wanted to put that out here in a public meeting, get any reaction you might have here, and also put the public on notice that this is our direction that we're headed for right now. I'll say that I did speak with Ron about our plans here, and he was quite enthusiastic about the idea, feeling that it was going to be a great contribution to getting some productive things done, bringing some more daylight to our process, particularly with how we pick trails and what trails are paved and improved. And I know Jason Williams also shares many of these thoughts. And Counselor, I wish Counselor Elliott because he has often expressed to me some frustrations with the lack of meaningful activity with the trees and park board. So I'm pretty sure that Counselor Elliott would be very enthusiastic about this as well. But anyway, that's our intent, to bring this back to you in June. And if you have any comments now, Linda and I both would enjoy knowing what those might be.
I read that and I loved it. I mean, immediately trees and trails, it just sounded like it sounds good. It sounds like the same people would be interested in those kinds of things. Did I read about bike? Don't we have a bike and
ped, and this would replace that.
Right, okay, because it does seem like an awful lot of, but I wondered if the people on the committees, have you run that by them yet?
Not yet. I wanted to put this out to you folks first. But I guess I should add, I didn't mention this, that the composition of the board that we're thinking of would have 2 members from the public specifically interested in trees, 2 specifically interested in trails. We believe those will be BLT people. We'd like to have a council member, and then we'd like to have a couple of staff members who deal particularly with the trails issues and the trees. Jason will likely be a part of that, and trees fall into his basket. So.
And bikes, maybe.
Pardon me?
And bikes. I think specifically.
Yeah, bikes are very much a part of that. Yeah.
But
people interested in the trails would be both.
Volunteers, me.
No. I liked that we have people on committees specifically thinking about making Lebanon more bicycle friendly.
Right.
And I just want to be sure that doesn't get lost in
We'll put specific language into the committee ordinance that you guys will look at that'll make it clear that bicycles are very much part of what the committee's dealing with.
What their mission is. I love it.
The thing that I dislike about the committees now, the way it's structured, is that the committees will meet and there's nothing to go over, or there's very little to go over, so there's no reason to so in talking to Gary, that's one of the things that they'll do is they won't meet when there's not stuff to deal with.
And it's easy to lose passion for your committee when you don't have a driven purpose.
Yes. And I think with the combination of those different items, it'll get more activity in that group where they will be able to meet. And I've been on 2 of the committees that Gary's talking about that we've created, these ad hoc committees, and they've been fantastic. The Strawberry Plaza Committee and then the sign ordinance. I mean, they've been fast. We've gotten stuff done, and the input from the people has been that's what's making the things happen, is that the people are either business owners or they're homeowners or they're people that are local to that problem or that thing that we're working on, and it really makes a difference. It really has been good, so I really like this.
All right.
Okay.
We'll proceed then, and I'll look forward to presenting the specifics at the June meeting.
All right. Wow, we're moving right along. Items from council? I have a couple items. May 18th, I'll be doing the Daughters of the American Revolution. They'll be meeting here at Boulder Falls. I'll be doing a welcome there. That seems to be a whole new thing, whole new speakers bureau I'm going to have to open up because it's people want to have the mayor welcome the groups that are coming to Boulder Falls, and it's great. I like it. May 31st, I'll be traveling to Salem. This is not really city related, but it's personal related. They've asked me to do a speaking on the HPV virus conference. It's going to be healthcare professionals throughout the state and talking about inoculation for children when they're younger. I have HPV, and that's what caused, I didn't know it, men don't know it, and is becoming an epidemic of people our age in the 50s, 60s. It is becoming an epidemic that men have it and don't realize it. And not everybody, but in a lot of cases, it'll turn into throat cancer. And that's where my throat cancer came from. So it's a important thing, and I'll be speaking down there, giving a 15-minute little talk about what I went through in my cancer treatment and how important it is. So that'll be kind of exciting for me to do. And then lastly, I wanted to welcome Les from the Democrat Herald, Lebanon Express. Welcome, and thanks for coming. Appreciate it. And that's it. Last chance for public comments, if there's anybody from the public that would like to comment.
Can I back up, Counselor?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Could you provide us a little update on the status of that House bill or the House resolution, I think it was, that went through regarding the inspectors and our contract inspector and where we're at with that?
It was House Bill 4086, and it was in the legislative session earlier this year, passed the House. It died in the Senate. Since then, the Division of the Building Codes decided to go forward with essentially the guts of that bill and enact it by administrative rule. There are several cities, we are one of them, that were due to have their certifications renewed on July 1. And specifically, if you don't know what the bill is about, it has to do with cities that, most of them are smaller cities, that contract with third-party providers to accomplish the building inspection function. We contract with Northwest Code professionals, and Sean is our inspector and has done a great job for us. The reason we do that, and the reason that many smaller cities use third-party providers in this case, in these cases with inspections, is that we don't typically, even with the activity we don't typically have enough activity to employ an individual full-time as a staff member. And particularly when building goes down, the activity goes down, maybe we get into an economic slump, you can have an inspector on staff who really has nothing to do. That happened to me when I was the city manager in Ketchum, Idaho. We went into the 2009-2010 recession, and I had a fellow sitting in the office asking me numerous times, Gary, what can I do? What can I do? Finally, what we did is we eliminated his position and contracted it out to a third-party provider. Well, about, I don't know, maybe 9 months to a year ago, the State Attorney General's office issued an opinion that said that it was unconstitutional to contract out, and you correct me, Trey, if I get this wrong, contract out the enforcement functions of local government. And in this case, that's where they hang their hat on third-party providers. Walt has been looking at this whole issue, and his assessment at this point is that we can be in compliance as long as we can demonstrate that we have a building official who is certified by the state of Oregon as a building official, and that person can either be a full-time employee of ours or can be an employee of another local government, and we have a contract with that entity. So we right now are evaluating both of those. I think the chances of Walt and I presenting this issue to you in June is about 150%. We'll come back to you and tell you more about what we think we need to do to address this. But we did receive a letter about a week and a half ago from the state of Oregon saying that They believe that we're in violation and have asked us to respond how we will remedy the violation that they believe we have. So, all very surprising to us. This has been a practice that's been going on for decades in the state of Oregon, but only very recently has it been determined by the state that this is an issue. So we and many other cities, particularly small ones, have been scrambling to try to, first of all, understand, and now Walt and I and Trey's been working with us. We're well into the process of trying to figure out what we need to bring back to the council to make sure that we're in compliance. So, Trey, did you want to add to this?
I just wanted to add that I actually received the name of an attorney that has been retained by a number of, well, I think it's going to be retained by a number of local smaller cities and impacted communities. I mean, it can be counties too, that are trying to build a coalition to challenge it in court. I'm going to contact, I've got an email into that attorney to talk about it. And then I know the League of Oregon Cities has also pledged their support, but they didn't have standing, so they have to get cities that would be the representatives of as plaintiffs of that. So it's possible that, you know, not only with the recommendation that comes back, there may also be some update on whether we as a city want to join that suit. Of course, I'd have to have more details about, you know, what it all entails. And my guess is that the first thing they would file would be some type of injunctive relief to allow the cities and the counties to continue the present practice until it's actually decided by the courts, which I think would be I think the courts, you know, would look favorably on that, because, you know, once if a number of communities are forced to change this practice, then it's going to be very hard to go back. And I mean, some of the private entities might just be out of business and there won't be any options anyways. So I think that there's a lot of merit to that. You know, there's the potential for this being what would be considered an unfunded mandate. You know, the state requires us to do this, and now they're making us spend more money on it. And you know, well, if you're going to do that, you have to give us the money, you know, to pay for it. So there's a number of elements that I think should be a strong case against that.
It's frustrating that the legislature didn't vote for it and it didn't go, and then the administrative rules, they try and do it that way.
Question. So, Gary, you said the state officials indicate that we're not in compliance at this point in time?
The letter we received was interesting. It doesn't say that. It says that they believe that we are in compliance, and so they're giving us that we are not in compliance, so they are giving us notice that we're not. And it really does read that way. It's really strange, and I think they're rushing this through because they're dealing not only with us, but several other cities throughout the state. So it's kind of a crazy deal in my view, but...
The reason I wanted to get a clarification on that is those inspections that are currently in the hopper now and are being done, what sort of limbo does that put them in, and what type of jeopardy?
None right now. No, it's just what our program will look like July 1. That's the question. But I think Walt and I, and I think Trey too, we're confident one way or another we'll have a solution and we'll still be in business on July 1. Whatever it needs to be, we're not going to shut down our inspection service, whatever it is that we have to do.
It's a huge impact.
It is.
This just feels like BCD imposing their will at random, and it's really unfortunate for us, but it's unfortunate for a lot of small communities, because who can afford that one FTE, like you said, when you can pay a contract rate? You're doing the right thing by the taxpayers by saving money by using a contract service, and then turn around and be forced to waste taxpayer dollars because of basically a division's ruling is ludicrous.
We're actually one of the bigger cities in this whole, caught up in this whole thing. There are some smaller cities out there that, you know, communities of even 1,000 or less, who might have an inspection, you know, once or twice a month, and for them to have to do some kind of
might actually have a better shot of having someone pick up their 1 or 2 inspections.
Right.
It's the cities like us that do high volume, but not high enough to
Right.
make their
It's
wage.
definitely a problem.
It's tough.
Who was the city that we read the letter from? Gary and I are both on a list that the cities that are kind of arguing this and fighting this are giving us information. And there was the one city that had a letter that was differently written than ours that said that they were in violation. And I don't remember who that was. But was it Estacada?
Yeah, it was a coastal city, but yeah,
Yeah,
we
it
got
was-
a different letter than another city. It was to the same result. They wanted us to make changes, but
Yeah, but theirs was more like you're in violation. It wasn't even like you might be. It was different. So,
Yeah.
very strange. Any other comments on that? Okay, and one last, if anyone from the public would like to comment? Yes. Okay.
So our design committee is working on putting together our community cleanup day, which is Saturday, May 19th. And it's from 8 until about noon. We're hopefully going to have Sugar Vibes donuts in the morning for anybody who wants to come out and help. We'll start at Ralston Park and also move to downtown area as well, just doing general yearly maintenance type of thing to Ralston Park, weeding, bark dust, and then downtown just general cleaning up trash and making the town look good. We do it on this weekend because it's leading up to the Strawberry Festival when our town is on display, and so we're just trying to take pride in our community. So if you are not able to come to that event and help out there, maybe choose that day to mow your lawn and do some gardening and help the city look great. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Okay, any items from the press? And next scheduled meetings, June 13th is our regular session, and July 11th is our next regular session. And with that, we'll be adjourned.